Okay, let's go. This is round 3, and I'm just gonna do round 3 to 6 right now, but you're not gonna see that, because I think it might be more interesting to watch like one a day, you know. I played black in the first game, white in the second game, so I play black in the third game. And the competition was in this game relatively kind to me, in that my opponent only had a rating of like 1900, I believe 1902 or something, so that's only a 95 point increase from me compared to the 100 plus from the first two games, which I both drew using, well, the first one I had some pressure, the second one I had to defend, but it was, yeah, was fine. This one, let's see, my opponent played d4 and I play Benoni against d4 generally, which we get somehow. I usually don't get this. People after d4 often play London, and in which case I just, so after knight of 6 you can just go back to a London. I believe you should do it like this. And then I play well, Queen's Gambit reversed with reverse colors. But yeah, Benoni time. e6, knight c3, this is just main line. Take, d6, all main line. And here my opponent played a4, which is a bit premature maybe. Usually you do that in response to a6. But I mean, it's fine. It doesn't take the center though. So the normal move, of course, is g6. That's the main line. In a lot of variations, usually in e4 or maybe even in like knight f3 for variations, bishop f4. You just play g6. But after a4, I mean I could have played g6, but I decided, hey, I can maybe prevent e5 or e4, or at least prevent a massive center from white by pressuring e4 again with the bishop. It does eventually probably get kicked here, which means I can't play g6, so this bishop will be weak. And this is a trade-off. I'm just taking a temporary W for a permanent L, I guess, because this bishop will just be bad forever. But it might be worth it. In retrospect, I think it's probably not worth it. I should probably play g6, although this does kind of work out. My opponent played f3, preparing e4. Oh, maybe I should mention this. I already analyzed this with someone who's practically a GM. The tournament had someone to analyze your games, and I analyzed this one after the game. Was interesting, but let's see how accurate it was. One thing I learned was basically, I mean, some endgame things, but so we'll get there. Spoilers, we get to an endgame. Whoa. f3, yeah. And I just play bishop e7 because I can't play here, and go to castle. e4, bishop g6, bishop c4, castle. This is just all very normal still. Knight ge2, you need to go somewhere with the knight. Knight b to d7 and castle again. So now the now the opening is done basically, and we have this position where my opponent has a big center, but not as big as you usually get, And you can't really push f4 because in a lot of variations I just take. And like this counterplay is gonna be difficult, but since a6, since I haven't played a6 yet, there could still be some interesting things here. Like for example, I saw that after knight e5, the bishop can't stay on this diagonal, so maybe I can do this. In theory, knight e5 was the move I played. So the bishop, I mean, it can stay on the diagonal, but I can kick it again if necessary, if I feel like it. But the bishop just went to a2, and I played queen b6, threatening something like this. This is a check, by the way. This c5 is a check. This is a discovered check. So I can even play knight d3 right here. Not sure it's good. Not sure it does anything. But there's some interesting tricks here. So for example, if my opponent allows it, let's say b3. That's a terrible move, by the way, because it kills this bishop. But I wanted to find a pass move. c4 check, king here, knight d3, and I threaten knight f2, and I don't think it's stoppable. I think this just wins an exchange. So it is actually a threat. My opponent obviously didn't play b3. That's a terrible move. My opponent prevented this with bishop e3. There's still a kind of a discovered, but every discovered attack is a pin, and every pin is a discovered attack. So if I move my pawn, I lose my queen. Also, this might be on the way in some variations because of this pin, so I'll need to move my queen. But I also don't want to put it on c7 because of this knight. I considered going to a6, a5 at some point. Maybe not right now. I don't need to do it right now. So I just played rook e8, which is a very normal move, puts pressure on e4 at some point later. Makes it harder for f4 to happen, which is good because this knight really doesn't want to move, if at all possible. This knight is great here. If f4 gets played, then I mean I can still go here, which is actually very good for me right now. But after h3 first, then f4. Yeah, I'm not happy right there. My opponent played a couple of moves before h3 though, so I have a lot of time. Queen d2, h6 to prevent this, which I'm not sure is relevant, but it also gives an escape square for either piece, which could be relevant. I'm not sure yet which one will go there. Probably this knight, but we'll see. It might not even be necessary, and then it's just an escape square for the king also. So I thought h6 was it made sense. It was a multi-purpose move that didn't really do anything egregious. Knight g3, which defends e4. That's also relevant. And it could go to f5, but I think I take and be very happy in that position. And just start pressuring the d-pawn. Wait 2 seconds. Oh yeah, there was something I missed, I realized. Bishop e3. I saw this in the game, of course. This kind of wins a pawn, except after rook b1. You don't have any squares other than here, and then this is just you lose the queen. The queen gets trapped, so you can't actually take the pawn. Kind of relevant. Knight g3, yeah, and I played bishop f8. That means that every sacrifice here never works. Now you need to sack 2 pieces to get in. And after knight f5 I'm not forced to take yet. And it also opens up this rook for a third attack. So if once I move the knight, I might just win the e-pawn after f4. So yeah, h3, which sets up f4, and if f4 gets played I have to go back, and then this is under attack, but then it's defendable. So if I go back immediately as a prophylaxis, I believe it's called, after f4 I can just take. So at least the center is still contained. Yeah, and rook b1, rook a b1. My opponent will eventually want to do this, but later. Rook a b1 is also kind of annoying because it threatens b4. And that would be kind of bad for me, probably. Because they just take and I have to take back like that, and then this pawn is very far and gonna be an issue. So I have to prevent that. Let's see. Rook b1. Yeah, queen a5. Yeah. So queen a5 is just, I move out of the way, keep some pressure here. If the knight ever moves, I just take the queen. I think. Maybe not. Oh, if the knight ever moves, I take this pawn, was the point. But knight b5 might be good to attack here, after which I might be forced to... No, that's bad as well. Might just be forced to go back. After which b4 is a thing again, but... Maybe after knight b5 I just take the pawn and win 2 pieces for a rook. And I also get a pawn, I think. Although maybe you win the a7 pawn back. It's just 2 pieces for a rook, I think. Yeah, queen a5. So it makes sense. Rook goes to e1 to prepare f4, because I mean that's the real plan white has, to crash through the center. There really isn't anything else. And I need to play here, basically. Well, I'm gonna do that. E5, f4 right now is not playable, because it is playable, right? Because there's a discovered attack, and it's not this discovered attack, it's this discovered attack, which is annoying. And so if the knight takes, I have to take. So if the knight, if the knight takes, I have to take the queen, and the knight just takes back. And this bishop is defended. So now it does actually work. So my opponent is prepping f4. However, I'm pretty fast as well with my plan. I play a6 here, f4 and b5. And this is possible because I win the bishop if they, in the end, in theory. Actually, they just can't even take because I just take back. But yeah, b5 is, it creates some counterplay for me, which is good. Here I thought that my opponent had to move f5, which is puts, yeah, it saves the pawn, kills this bishop, sort of. I might be able to go h5. But I mean, and then the GM that I basically GM that I analyzed with mentioned basically that, but the better version, which is e5, and after I take, then play f5. And then the square isn't... I don't control this square anymore, so in the other position, b5, f5, I can just put a knight here. And in this position I can't, because there's a pawn in the way. However, my opponent didn't play that. My opponent played bishop b1, which loses a pawn. Because I have b4, which unpins this and kicks out the defender. And the knight goes to d1, and I just take. I considered for a second taking with the bishop first, but it doesn't matter. Take, 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 take. And now I'm up a pawn. But still, bad positional structure with this bishop. This knight will be fine. Also, I can kind of win a second pawn in cases. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with this position. Knight f2 to kick my rook and develop the knight again, and I just go back to e8. Maybe I should have gone to e7. I think that might be splitting hairs a bit. And f5. And my opponent is starting some sort of attack here, and since I lost my defensive pieces here, it was kind of scary. And so I basically did the same as with bishop f5 later. I gave myself a temporary W, as in I prevent all of that with a permanent L as well, so my position will be terrible after a while. I play knight f6 to prevent f6, of course. My opponent plays knight g4, and I decide to take and play f6. This bishop is crying, of course, but other than that, I basically killed this part of the board, and now I have a 3v2 on the queen side. So I thought this should be winning, and I also thought this should especially be winning after I trade all the major pieces. Or actually, this should even be winning after I trade all the major pieces. And I'm left with this bishop. Because this bishop can just go here. Maybe not even, maybe I need to play c4 first. My king can come in. This bishop can't come in. Also, I can break here. That's probably the point. That was probably the point. So I can come in and the opponent can't. I assumed that this was a winning endgame, and I think I assumed correctly. Like in perfect play, especially. So I think if you get rid of all these pieces, I think the engine will claim that the endgame is winning for black. But it's gonna be close. And especially after I screw it up at some point, which you'll see after b3, I play a terrible move rook e4. Because I wanted to double up, but I don't have my queen there ready. So also put pressure here, here, here. Maybe I can move off the e-file and like maybe set up c4, maybe take the pawn. But I can't actually win this pawn, even if you ignore the fact that I lose the e-file for it, because I lose a rook. So bishop f4, and now I'll keep that. Now I'm kind of in trouble here. I play rook a e8, and we trade rook e1. And now I'm basically forced to go into this. Actually, did I go? I actually didn't play queen d8, I played queen c7, which is a slight inaccuracy. But yeah, I was thinking of c4 again. I'm still thinking of winning this game, despite losing the e-file here. So what happens here is queen e6 check. I have to go king h8. King h7 isn't good because of this, I thought. And then like taking here maybe. So queen e8 now, attacking the bishop and infiltrating towards this pawn. I played queen e7 because I'm fairly certain that this endgame is still winning for me. They play queen c8 attacking this pawn. And here the GM mentioned that it was shocking that I did not go for queen e1, queen h4. I absolutely saw it, of course, that this is a draw, but I was thinking that this should be winning. And the GM disagreed for the most part. But I mean, we'll see. We analyzed it and it might actually be winning. So I might have been right and they might have been wrong. Queen c8. I played a5 to defend the pawn. And you can, of course, go after it again, like queen a8. But then I think I think that might just be too slow. Maybe I should go. Maybe I can go there and g5 or something. I'm not sure what I'd do exactly. I can't defend the pawn though. But my opponent was friendly and played queen e6, which I took, and I assumed that this was winning in both cases. I had to calculate, of course, and I think I calculated both to be winning, because after this pawn takes, my king just runs in, and is very fast actually. And on this one I have two pawns. This one is passed, but I'm also really fast. And that's to compensate for the fact that this pawn is here and being a bit of an ass. Or this pawn, depending on which one actually happened. After f takes, black basically doesn't have anything and or white doesn't have anything and I can do whatever I want. And after this I am forced to go here, and then the bishop can be good. So they took with the d pawn. And here, did I make a mistake here already? Yes. Yes, so I should be really fast here. But I thought I needed to play bishop e7, because if after this I need to play bishop e7 still, because this otherwise just promotes. But so after c4, for example, this and this wins. So the point is, this only wins a piece because I can take. And this is winning for me because I just run really, really fast. Like I said, these pawns run. So that's what I should have done, but I instead wasted the tempo thinking that I need to do this, otherwise the bishop goes here and promotes, which loses a tempo, which is very relevant here. d5, king e3, c4, and now king d4 might be king d4 might be playable. And in the other variation, the king was here and I have this check, which is useful. I still can't defend this, by the way, so bishop c7 will always hit with the pawn. But yeah, my opponent didn't even play king d4. My opponent took, and then played king d4, c3, and king d3. And now I still can't defend this because bishop d8, bishop c7, and if I take, the pawn runs, and if I don't take, they just take here, and so I even need to go back. So king d3, I play king g8, bishop c7, king f8. Bishop takes this pawn. I played bishop c5 to kind of defend. Bishop c7 goes back. King e7, a5. This pawn is running, but I can sack my bishop for it if necessary. I can't really. But here's the issue that I didn't realize beforehand. My king is stuck. If my king gets here, then it's then we play on. Then I think if my king can get, let's say, here in two moves, I think it's I think I might be winning. Might be, who is the big word? Because I can put my bishop here. My king, actually, it's still a draw. My king is here. Yeah, it's just a draw. But I missed the fact that my king is stuck, and so I lose here. Which is insane to think. So I played this and this, and I resigned here. So up a pawn. Like, am I still up a, no, I'm not up a pawn anymore. But I was up a pawn, because like this will cost me a piece at some point, and then they just this is actually a playable move. They just take this pawn, that pawn, kick me to e8, and then just move here, and I can't defend against this. I'm in Zugzwang. So yeah, I think I should have won this game in multiple variations, but let's see. This is just main line. I'm considering putting b5 in my opening repertoire, which is called, what's it called? What's this called? Benko Gambit, yeah. I'm considering putting this in my opening repertoire, but you don't need to know that yet. I haven't played it yet. This is all fine. d6, a4, yeah, still g6. This is bad, of course. Bishop d7. This is also bad. Yeah, I know. g4. Okay, that's... If g4 is the move, then it's bad, yeah. d7. I mean, it's... Engine really dislikes Benoni, so this plus 1.7 in practice really isn't as much as it looks like. Okay. Yeah, you can't take. Rook e1, rook e8, sorry. Queen d3. Yeah, it's still plus 1, but it's getting lower, and now... Okay, sure. Ace. Now a6, and now it's only plus 1. f4, and now... See? Now I'm doing fine. And I thought f5, yeah, and this is bad because of this, and I just win a pawn. Yeah, rook e7, kind of splitting hairs. b3 immediately also makes sense. Yeah, I was afraid of c6 after... or f6 after c4. I considered c4 and queen takes a4, of course, but I was really afraid of f6. Or maybe knight g4 first. Take, and I still really need to... Yeah, this is okay, this is bad, and this is terrible, and now it's a draw, and I'm still winning after c4. Now it's a draw again. It's still a draw, and now it's slowly getting into white's favor. And I assumed this was winning, and the engine wanted to agree, but couldn't, and now it's losing. Yeah. Now it's just... Yeah. Oh yeah, I have to play b3 there. It's... Yeah. Then I can do this, and then it's actually a draw because I can defend a5, and this is fine because the king is here. That's also annoying to have missed that, but this is just... Yeah. There's just nothing. Yeah. Whatever. Okay, so I have a score of 1 out of 3 right now. And I should have been at... Well, if I... This one I think I should have won. The first one I think, despite being better, I should have drawn. And the second one I think, despite being worse, I should probably have also drawn. So I should have been at 2 points, but I'm only at 1, I think. Yeah, endgames. Endgames are rough. Let's see if the next if the next matches gets any better, because it's... I mean, all of them get to an endgame, of course. So let's see, and I'll see you there.